Can you dig it, folks? I am the Mighty Plantain, and we are checking out Midas Touch from Dogfish Head. This is actually their original ancient ale. And the deal with the ancient ales, it's actually pretty interesting. What they do is they take archaeological dig sites, the findings there, such as pottery in this case. The residue in ancient drinking vessels is chemically analyzed to determine exactly what ingredients were in the beverage, in this case alcoholic beverage, and it's pretty much exclusively on their ancient ales, it's always beers. And then they attempt to recreate that recipe based on the chemical analysis of the ancient pottery or other drinking vessels. And it's a pretty in-depth process, and if you read the description, it sounds like it's pretty legit. But it's also produced some interesting beers that give us a look into the history of beer across the world. So again, the Midas Touch, their original ancient ale. It says here, somewhere between wine and mead, our original ancient ale is made with ingredients found in 2,700-year-old drinking vessels in the tomb of King Midas. He was a real guy. The stories about him are highly exaggerated, but there was a King Midas. Barley, honey, white muscat grapes, and saffron. So it should be interesting. This does come in at 9% alcohol by volume, so it's going to be a heavy, heavy beer. Not quite in the double digits, but right up there. It's got an interesting color to it. And I did get a couple of drops of the pour dancing on the head, and I like that. It just shows that it's got a lot of surface tension. The little drops separate, and then they kind of float around before they join the beer. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Well, it's got a bit of an amber honey color. It's very interesting. It's a reddish tinge to it, but it's also very much a honey-colored beverage. That bit of an amber hue. It's very effervescent, although it's not building much of a head, and I didn't get a good pour on it, so I didn't get a really strong head to begin with. But there's a lot of bubbles coming up out of there that aren't accumulating at the top. Quite clear, not cloudy at all. Just a lovely looking beer. And sweetness. Sweetness and grape, and it's not like that sour, winey grape. Probably picking up on a lot of the sweetness from the honey, and then like a nice white grape juice kind of aroma. But that part's very subtle. I'm getting a really crisp, refreshing just that nice rain evaporating off a hot pavement. Kind of crisp and refreshing. Very smooth. It's got a medium light mouthfeel. It's interesting. I don't know if it's the saffron, but I'm getting a bit of a bitterness that's reminiscent of an overall hoppiness, although I don't believe there's actually any hops in here. They don't mention it on the label, and I assume that it's not in there at all. And maybe it's that combination of the muscat grapes and the saffron coming together to give me that bit of bitterness, but it's really in the finish up front. It's still crisp and refreshing. Hint of sweetness in there, and then followed up by that bitterness. Pardon. Well, it's definitely a unique flavor. And the fact that I'm getting that bitterness without it being a hoppy beer from a combination of other flavors, this makes me think that maybe we've always wanted bitter beverages like that. Or maybe back in the past it was just more important to have something that got you drunk. Who knows? It's definitely interesting. Honestly, the process behind it is giving it some extra points, and the discovery factor that's giving it some extra points as well, in my opinion. In terms of my overall enjoyment of it, I think it's more of an experience than it is a flavor for me, because it's not great. It's not horrible. Personally, I'm setting this one at a 3.5 out of 5. It's not one of my favorite brews, but it is definitely an above average beer. It's got that nice, crisp, refreshing flavor. The fact that it's giving me a hoppy bitterness impression without actually using hops, um, and just like I said, whew, the process behind it is so interesting. It is still quite effervescent. I'm getting a lot of gas coming back up. And so again, not one of my personal favorites. Um, I'm just not really keen on the overall flavor, but it's interesting and unique enough that it's getting some extra points, putting it at that 3.5 out of 5, which is an above average beer. Bear in mind, on a scale of 1 to 5, 2.5 is average, but I'm enjoying it. Like I said, mostly because of the experience and the fact that it's different and unique, and there's some history here. But the overall flavor just isn't resonating with me personally. But that's just my opinion. Make sure to hit me up down below in the comments, the email link. Let me know if you agree or disagree, what your impression of this beer is. Uh, Also, while you're down there, click that like button, click the share button, get the word out, spread these videos around, and click on that little subscribe tag there. If you subscribe, you'll get a notification every time I post a new video. Hopefully you're getting some information or entertainment value out of them. Until next time, folks, thanks for tuning in. Cheers.